Welcome back, peasants, and we're continuing our countdown from number 6. What you mean number 6? There's 5 days left, I know, mate. I'm just really delayed at the moment. I don't give a flying fuck, you see, mate. I was at London and I got kind of held up. You call it day number 6. I expect to get on day number 6. I got a hug from Tabata. I was pretty excited. I'm disliking this video. Bit harsh. Yes, I know, guys, I missed my day number 6, so I'm going to do it today. I didn't want to miss it. I wanted to still do it for consistency, so needless to say, quite a few of you have already gone to the comment section and told me it's actually day number 5, so you're going to get both today, day number 6 and day number 5, so let's do it. 6. Final Fantasy VI. Holy schmoly, this game has by far the most references to Final Fantasy 15. Some of the FF6 Easter eggs that are in the game, going to Ortisia, the red painting, that represents Shardanock from FF6. That was a pretty cool one. Then we've got Magitech, and Final Fantasy VI had Magitech infantry, Magitech factories, and I've speculated, and this is just speculation, guys, it isn't canonical fact, that I believe that both Magitech are fueled the same way. So in 6 they were done through Espers, and I believe that in FF15 they could be through the Astrals. That's just my tinfoil hat theory, and while we're going along that vein, I've done quite a few theories on how FF6 links to 15. In terms of the summons, on how I think the summons are actually going to be people. I do think there will be people. I think that Shiva will be Gentiana. I think that Nyx could be one, possibly Core. I don't know. I definitely think Odin will be Regis. That all really links to the War of the Triad, the War of the Magi, how the king was Odin, how the Astrals or the Summons or Espers, they were caught up in a war. First it was the War of the Magi, then the War of the Triad. Or vice versa, so I tried first, Magi later, and how they were fighting for their freedom, and I think that perhaps Arden could be one, and that's what he could be working towards. You guys, you know the theories, they're out there. And FYI, just for the spoiler trolls, that isn't an invitation for you to tell me whether I'm right or wrong about that. That is just total speculation. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. Please do not tell me. Next up, Ultros. He appeared in Kingsglaive. I was super hype about that, and I'm adding him on day number 6 simply because I know that there's going to be people in the comment section saying, Peasant, why didn't you add Ultros if I don't add him? And I wasn't going to because he did actually appear in FF1 and I believe FF4 after years. Now he went under the name of Orthros, but because most people think of Ultros and FF6 and that's where he had his first name and his kind of most infamous debut, I might as well stick him in today. The final FF6 link that I am speculating is a Doom Train / Phantom Train, and I say slash because I've seen so many links and hints that Doom Train could be in this game, and Doom Train, he was a concept in FF8 that kind of branched from the Phantom Train. Now I've come up with story theories on top of the War of the Magi and the Triad and Odin that perhaps our group, they get on some sort of Phantom Train, or they do encounter some sort of Doom Train. You know the theories there, guys, and all I'll say is all of these theories about FF6 being in FF15 in certain aspects, it kind of got a bit supported. Tabata did say that if any game in the franchise had influenced the story of 15 the most, it was FF6. 6 is the number of confirmed astrals on the cosmogony books, and they are Titan, Rama, Shiva, Leviathan, Bahamut and Ifrit. Now we don't know if perhaps there'll be a few others that aren't summonable. I kind of have a sneaking suspicion there maybe, like I said, Doom Train, possibly Odin. I suppose, would you count Knights of the Round? We even saw on the monster that there was Kujata on the recent monster sizing chart, and there's been a few others that have summoned names, but we don't know if they are summoned. But these are definitely the ones that are confirmed as ones we can actually summon. 6 is the total number of Brotherhood episodes we have had or will have when Luna's 6th one comes out, and that should be coming out around the release date. For certain pre-order copies, I believe it is only pre-order copies, but that will hit the internet real soon, so never fear, you will all get to watch it. And let's, in our final countdown, just reminisce over Brotherhood. Let's reconjure those feelings, those feels, those backstories, those connections, the relationships that we saw in Brotherhood. Oh man, that was such a good tee up for this game. Brotherhood, the reason it was made, to make us feel emotionally connected and invested in the relationship between the 4 brothers, and because they had so much history together, it was really just too much to fit in one game, and that's why they made it a separate anime series. Too much material and too much content that they just didn't want to go to waste. It's the number of core regions that the thus far known about map of Eos is divided into. So we have Lucis 1, Tenebrae 2, Accordo 3, Niflheim 4, Solheim 5 and Dusksky 6. Now here's a really interesting thing I didn't know. Square Enix, they've actually called them all nations. They even describe Dusksky as being a nation. But check this out. They then go on to say after this that Niflheim is the only nation that never had a crystal. So that implies therefore that there were 5 crystals, but then Square Enix said that there were 4 crystals and that the Lucis one is now the only one remaining, and the one place that we never really heard about in terms of crystals was the Dusksky region. Of course that is the town of Lestalum, and I've always been really suspicious about the meteor that powers that city. We know that it's powered by a meteor that fell a long time ago, and guys, if Final Fantasy has taught us one thing, is that when meteors fall it usually brings something with it, or it's not just a straightforward meteor. Could the meteor be a crystal? Just think about it, guys. 6 years ago, aka 2010, let's go back to it. It was a really dark period for Final Fantasy 15/Versus 13. It was on a sort of a transition period where at that time we kind of thought it had been cancelled. There were rumours going around, we hadn't seen anything, it didn't appear at E3, and I wanted to look at all the reasons for that. So some really interesting things came out of that. So it was being worked on heavily in 2010, but there were various aspects as to why we didn't hear much. So it was actually supposed to be at E3 2010, this trailer playing here, but due to a monumental number of technical issues it actually skipped E3 that year. There were other things, for example the Japanese voice actors, they'd only just been cast back then. Shimomura, also she was creating the framework of the music as far back as then, but she couldn't really commit to any themes heavily because she didn't know the full story and didn't feel solidified, and until it was solidified she didn't want to commit to any tracks in case they didn't feel right. And that's all despite the fact that the game's story was actually fully written. Nomura reported back in June 2010 that the story, the characters and the clothing designs had been completed. But despite that, by the end of that year and into 2011, the game was reportedly still only in the pre-production phase. According to staff, around that period of time, they said that it was only around about 20 to 25% complete despite having the full story written. And then a number of other issues from that point on happened. It changed its name, it changed its platform, it changed its engine, it changed directors. Tabata came on board. His quote when he took over, he said it had never really taken shape fully. Another quote that Tabata said when he arrived, he said that the production team upon his arrival were exhausted and fretful. Now that's some pretty heavy language, and that just goes to show what kind of state the game was in around 6 years ago. And I think that goes a long way into explaining why it got benched. It's a huge story overhaul. It worked from the ground up completely with the new engine, and that's why it is so unfair to say that this game has had a 10-year development phase when realistically it's only had 4, and Tabata has worked his fingers to the bone to get it to where it is today. 60 frames per second is the potential speed that Final Fantasy 15 could reach by December 2016. Now of course that is just because of the PS4 Pro. They're saying that they're going to aim to implement a patch by December. Don't hold them to it, that's just a target. But it's a really big change, and from just 6 months ago, and it's because of the Pro, because just 6 months ago Tabata was saying that 1080p and 60 FPS would be, quote, impossible to ever reach on consoles. This is because with a full open world game of this size and magnitude, with action based combat, with as many special effects, moving objects and characters as what FF15 has, 1080p and 60 FPS 6 months ago would only have been possible on a top end PC, but of course now the Pro has made it possible that they could do it by December. 2006, this is where the journey began. This is where we first heard about Versus 13, and of course this was 4 years before even FF13 ever came out, and we know that they were once going to be very closely linked, very intimately linked, not even just in the Fabula Nova Crystallis universe, but kind of almost in the same world. There were rumours once upon a time that Lightning was actually going to be in the game. I believe that Square even said that they're going to consider adding her in as a guest at one point, and it's changed so far from that. Of course, it's now been disconnected from Fabula Nova Crystallis, completely different universe, and yet Tabata has said that most of the core concepts have remained, so we'll see how that pans out. It was also quite cool that they dubbed the Luminous engine the Black engine, or actually the Ebony engine. And the reason why they did that was actually to shout out Final Fantasy 13 and to kind of praise its history that they were once connected, because FF13's engine was dubbed the White engine. While we're doing all the years with 6 in it, let's go to 2016. This year, the 2016 Guinness World Book of Records. Here's everything that Final Fantasy is in it for, and Final Fantasy 15 is already in it. It's not even out yet. Take a look to the mid right. It's the longest development period for a JRPG. FF15 has the title, longest development period ever. Just looking at some, or considering what else 15 could take, I'm really curious. Largest budget for a JRPG, I'm absolutely 100% calling it now that Final Fantasy 15 will take that for 2017. Just looking at the prices between what FF7 cost and what FF15 cost now, I think it's easy to say that will happen. Just look at some of the others. Fastest completion of FF4 in the top right. Someone completed FF4 in 2 hours and 52 seconds. Sort of thinking about what kind of speed run 15 might have. I'm actually going to say 20 hours. Now I know that's crazy. I mean, maybe 15, maybe I'm being a bit too harsh there. But the reason I say that is just looking at the Dusky demo, which was a fraction, a millifraction of the total game. The speed run for that is still only set world record at 26 minutes, nearly half an hour, and I think that's mostly because of the traverse times. You just won't be able to get around them, so I think the fastest completion for 15 could still be around 15 to 20 hours. That's my call. First all playable female cast in an RPG, that was 10-2. FF15 won't be getting that for all male cast, that's already been done. Most expensive animated film inspired by a video game, that's Spirits Within, but that is a film inspired by a video game. That's not the same as Kingsglaive. Kingsglaive is a video game inspired film, and there's quite a big difference between the two. There is a distinction. And finally, quite an interesting one and random, most prolific Final Fantasy creature is supposedly the Chocobo, appearing in over 62 video games. Oh goddamn. And rounding out day 6, about the biggest one is there will be 6 DLC segments in total, or 6 packs, if that's the right word for it. There'll be the Ignis one, the Prompto one, the Gladiolus one, the Co-op one, the one with all the brothers. I've gone through it all before on sort of when that's getting rolled out. What that fully entails, if you're curious about what the DLC Renios fully encompass Renios, there's a link Renio in the description. Renio, thanks for tuning in guys on day 6, even though it's day 5. We are getting scarily close now. It's actually going to happen. It's almost become like a thing of myth and legend, but it isn't. It's going to be happening. Please be excited. Until the next video, my darling peasants. Quay.
DJ.